Hi guys, it's me. So what we're gonna go over today is just how to diagram a sentence and just some English grammar terms that you should know if you're planning on diagramming sentences, and this is gonna help you to better understand how the language works and how everything is like connected. So I have MS Paint open here, so we can start off with nouns. So there's concrete nouns, which are our five senses. So we have sight, hearing, taste, touch. Sight, hearing, taste, touch, and smell. Okay, nice. Um, abstract. Abstract nouns are ideas, beliefs, emotions. So an example of this would be like dream. Dream is an abstract noun. We can't touch dream. We can't smell dream, right? So there's also proper nouns. So a proper noun is just a name. So you could have like Kelly, that's a proper noun, or you could have like a place like Saint James Church, and that's a proper noun. Um, collective nouns. So a collective noun is just like a group, like everyone, some, all, many. Those are all collective. And then we have the subordinating nouns. Um, so a subordinating noun would be like which, who, whom, that. And I wouldn't be too worried about this one. Like, okay, a subordinating clause is like, mm, it it's like it can be on its own. Like, well, sorry, it can't be on its own. So, an example would be like, um, blah 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 blah. We will go to wherever. We will go to the store. We will go. Like that's stand on its own. That can stand on its own. So that's not the subordinate clause. But what comes before it, any information that just like doesn't really matter, like extra information, like um my husband has to finish work and then we will go shopping. Like the whole stuff about your husband doesn't matter. They're just um like we will go shopping. That can stand on its own. So the subordinating part is all the information that you just said about your husband. So yeah, don't worry about that one too much. Um, okay, we're gonna move on to adjectives. So an adjective is a word that describes a noun or a pronoun. And it usually answers the question like which one, what kind, how many, things like that. And then we have verbs. So a verb, it shows either an action or it can show like a state of being. And these are also known as our linking verbs. Um, so okay, we can start with action verb because I think that it's probably the one we all think of first. So action verb like eat, sleep, walk, those are all actions. So Um, we can go into a little bit more detail here. So we can have a transitive verb, and a transitive verb is is like the recipient of the action. So it needs a noun or pronoun to complete its meaning, basically. So let me think here. What's a good transitive verb example? Okay, so a transitive, so for example, look for. I look for whatever you are looking for, right? You can't just say, I look for, period. That doesn't make sense. Like, you could say, um, I I grew up in wherever, and grew up, you can use this phrase like just on its own, or like I grew up, period. That makes sense. You can say that on its own. But I look for, you can't say this on its own, so it is transitive. And then something like this one is intransitive. So sometimes there are uh, like, I don't want to get too into it, but you can have some that are both, and I don't really want to go into that, like took off, like he took off his shoes, blah 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 blah, verse the plane will take off. Like, it depends on the situation, but yeah, don't worry too much about that. So the intransitive verb, it basically has no recipient of the action, and it makes sense without an object. So um, dance, sit, rest, all of those are intransitive verbs. And then finally we have the linking verb again, which just links the subject uh, to the rest of the sentence. So like the subject to the subject complement, right? So I am whatever. um, so yeah, am here is the linking verb. Is, was, were, be, all of those. The state of being, those are your linking verbs. So going off of that, the linking verbs, we also have the subject complement. So I am tired. I is the subject, am is the verb, and then you're gonna say, oh, tired. That's like an adjective, right? And yeah, that's true. That is an adjective. And we call this the subject complement because this word tired here is giving more information about me. I am tired. That's just more info. Um, Same thing for like, she is pretty. So she, subject is the verb, and then pretty, subject complement describing. Pretty describes she, so it's the subject complement. Um, if you're having some trouble, like, okay, oops, I did not mean to do that. um, okay, if you're having some trouble, oh my god, I did it again. I'm so sorry. Okay. If you're having some trouble with um this okay. I know you're probably thinking what's the difference between an adjective and the subject complement. And I'll try my best to describe this like okay. Um I throw a ball. This is going into more direct object territory, but I guess this is the best way to describe this. I don't really know. I, the subject, right? Throw, the verb, and then a ball, or just ball. That's the direct object, right? I'm throwing this thing. Um, so then if I make it I am a ball. um, I is the subject, verb, and then ball is not like it's not an adjective here. It's giving more information about me. It's describing me, and I am a ball. So this isn't a direct object anymore. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah. Compliments are all kinds of speech. So I'm just trying to show you that compliments aren't always adjectives. Like, yeah, you can go from the direct object as well. Um, okay. We also have adverbs. So let's see. Adverbs, these modify verbs, adjectives, and other adverbs. They usually end in ly, but not all the time, so don't, like, for example, yesterday, that's an adverb, but that doesn't end in the ly, but you have something like quickly, oh, and that ends with the ly. So adverbs, they usually answer questions like how, when, where, to what extent, and for something like that, it could be like never, always, something like that. And then why, and that's like the condition, the reason, and that's the adverb clause. So adverb clause, let's see. I will eat my apple later. So will eat later. So later modifies will eat. This is the time. This is the when. So yeah, that's the adverb clause. Okay, conjunctions. Um, so we know conjunctions just connect words and phrases or clauses. So, for conjunctions, we have coordinating. So, coordinating are equal value. So for example, and like I like pizza and cake, they're both equal. I don't like more than the other, or I haven't expressed that I like more than the other. I said I like both of them equally. So, um, we also have the subordinating again. So, subordinating. This is for like not equal values. So, for example, mm, uh, like I guess because um I do blah 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 because, or you could also use like that, or when, all of those work. And then like you have correlative, so these like show a relationship, so like pairs. um so it's gonna come like either or you could say like but also, like you can't have one without the other, you have to have both of them. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. um just before I leave that, for these ones, the coordinating, these are like your fanboy, if you know that acronym. It's like for and, nor, but, or, yes. And then sometimes you see so, but that one's kind of debatable, so I'll let you be the judge of that one. We have interjections. So these just show excitement, or they show emotion. They usually end in the exclamation mark. So like, oof, wow. Those are showing my emotion. So those are interjections. Um, we can move on to prepositions. So a preposition, no, it connects nouns or pronouns to other words. So examples of that are like at, in, on, all of those work. So then you have something like a prepositional phrase. So a prepositional phrase is like, what are you looking at? It ends in at. So in formal writing, you shouldn't really write something like this, like ending your sentences with the preposition. But like if you're just writing normally, nobody cares, like it's totally fine. But I know sometimes for formal writing, people are like, don't end with the preposition. Okay, so we're gonna go on to more of sentence structure right now. So a sentence is a group of words with a subject and a predicate. So let's go into the subjects. So we have the simple subject, which is just the noun or the pronoun that the sentence is about. And then we also have the complete subject, which is all of the words and the phrases, the subclauses, they just all connect to this one, the simple subject. So the simple predicate is just the verb, and then again the complete predicate is just the whole sentence that doesn't include the subject. So let's do an example. I eat. So this is your subject and your verb, your subject and your predicate, right? So we can make this a little bit more complex. I ate at 4 p.m. I subject ate at 4 p.m. This is the ate. This is the predicate, right? This is the verb. And then this is the complete predicate. It's everything in the sentence that doesn't include the subject. All right. So this is the simple predicate. And this is the subject. Okay. So we can go back to the subordinating clauses again, because I don't know if I explained that well enough. So it basically like introduces the dependent clause. So after school, I will blah 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 blah. After school cannot stand on its own, but the rest of the sentence, like I will blah blah blah, that's the dependent clause. It doesn't need any of this. Like I eat salad on Tuesday. Like I eat salad, that's the whole sentence right there. But on Tuesday is not a sentence. That is the subordinating clause. All right. Direct object. Back to this one. I'm gonna use the ball again. So the direct object is just it's a noun or pronoun that receives the action of the verb. So I hit the ball. The ball is the direct object. This is receiving the action of hit. Whereas you have the indirect object, right? So this is receiving the direct object. So you can think like to whom, to what, for what. Like I hit Rose the ball. Rose is my indirect object because she is receiving the ball, which is the direct object. Okay. Um, we can go on to object complement. So this is the noun or the pronoun or the adjective that says what the direct object became after they received the action of the verb. So that's a lot of words, so I'm gonna try and explain that. So an example of this would be like, we elected Bob president, right? So elected and president, these are important words here. So Bob, he became president after he received this verb of elect. So he received elected and he became this, the president. So hopefully that makes sense. So that was the object complement, and then the object of the preposition, the noun or the pronoun linked by a preposition to another word in the sentence. So yeah, this sounds, it's like the first one that we did. Like, it's a lot of words, but it's not too complicated when you see it. We drove to the store. Important words here are to, which is our preposition, and then store, which is our object. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. We're gonna go into some appositives. So an appositive is a noun or pronoun that renames the immediately preceding noun or the pronoun. So it's just giving extra information, and it's usually in between two commas. So the sentence should make sense if you were to like completely get rid of the information. So I'll show you. Like, I'm trying to think of like a good example. Okay, let's say like, let's go with Rose again. Rose, comma, my best friend, comma, is usually at home. I don't know. So if I were to get, so okay, so a part, I'm sorry. So the part that I said about the commas, so we have a comma here, we have a comma here. So if I were to completely get rid of this part, the sentence still makes sense. Rose is usually at home. So yes. Okay. The actual sentence diagrams. Now that you know all the vocab that you need to know, this is basically how you want to set up your sentence diagram. So the subject, and then all the way down, and then verb, and then that goes to the first line. And then you have the direct object, and then you have a slanted line, and then you have the object complement, and then from the subject, you have the adjective and the adverb. From the verb, you have the oh, the adjective and the adverb. Whoops, sorry, this should come off of there, like this one. And then you also have the indirect object coming off that. The direct object, you have the preposition, and then you have the object predicate coming off of that. So let's see. Let's do like one example of this because, well, let's do something simple like I eat. Okay, this is pretty simple to diagram. It's just subject and verb. So I eat on a subject, on a sentence diagram would look like this. So, I eat sushi. I eat sushi. Yeah, that's probably one of the more simpler ones. There's a lot of ways to diagram sentences. You might see things that kind of look like this, and then they kind of branch off like that. And that's totally fine as well, but we can do kind of a trickier one, like the man with the beard hit the ball over the fence into, or we can just say in the field, and then blah blah blah, whatever, right? So, okay, the man is the subject. So, man, so the is describing man. So we can put the right there. And then with, it's a preposition, right? So we can put with here. And then beard. This is our, what did I say this was? The object. Wait, no. 1 second. This is with. Okay, well, beard goes here. And that is, I believe that's the object preposition. And the, or the, describes beard, so that comes off of there like that. And then we can go, so we have that checked. Hit is our verb, so we can diagram this. So, okay, man has the full line, and then hit goes right there. Hit the ball, so ball is our direct object, and then the describes the ball, and I'm gonna put that over here just so I can have space to put the rest of everything else for our verb right here. So the ball, okay, over is our preposition. And then fence goes right here. And then again, the describing fence. The ball over the fence. In is our preposition again. In over the fence. In the field. So then you just go field. In the field. And then this could just go, you could just keep going. So like in the field of flowers, you would just go of, that should be like right here, but I can't fit that. Of, and then flowers, and then just, it could go on like forever. You could just keep going as much as you want with that. And then, yeah, that one's kind of a longer one. But, what else could you have? Let's see, like, young children jump in puddles. So the subject is children. So subject. Young is describing the children, so we can put that here. And then jump is our verb. And then I believe it would go like this in puddles. I think that's right. Hopefully that's right. So yeah. Basically sentence diagramming is important because you can see how the whole sentence works. You can see how logical the sentence is put together, and you know which parts are modifying which, and basically just how the sentence flows in general. So sentence diagramming is pretty, it's not like super important, but it can definitely help you if you're learning and you want to understand how the language works. So yeah, you can have some pretty crazy stuff going on with the sentence diagrams. I don't want to, like, for example, if you have two subjects, you're going to have one subject up here, and then you'll have another subject down here, and then you'll have your conjunction like that, and then it will go into the verb like that, and then blah 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 blah. Your sentence will continue like that, and yeah, it does get kind of crazy. If you just look up sentence diagramming, you'll find a whole bunch of examples, and you can find more in-depth stuff like that. So hopefully this lesson was somewhat helpful and you learned at least something. All right. Thank you. Bye bye.